All right, let's watch YouTube's darkest rabbit hole, talking about rabbit holes. Nick Crowley and Nexpo. So this is going to be a treat. If it's Nick Crowley and Nexpo, it's got to be a treat, right? Thank you, Frozen Pizza. For the 5 months. Viewer discretion advised. Oh, I've seen that. I've seen. Chat, did you know? Did you know that these people were making him eat the flesh of his beloved? I don't know. That probably. Thank you so much, Zombie Berry. I've seen that one. I've seen this one. I don't remember that
YouTube
one.
is an unusual place. For the past 5 years, tracking down its most disturbed and mysterious content has become an obsession for me. That search has led me down rabbit holes and into pockets of the internet that, for better or worse, and usually for worse if I'm being honest, have left a permanent impact on me. But recently, I was asked if any one case stood out above the rest. What was the quote-unquote best of the worst? And I was surprised at how easily an answer came to me.
Oh.
It was a story that started in Fiji, in the back seat of a taxi cab. Inside, a woman grabs her seatbelt from the top left corner of her seat and pulls down, waiting to hear a click. But as she does so, her hand brushes against a familiar-feeling object.
I don't have any Ghost
It was a cell phone,
I wish I had
presumably left by the rider before her. For the student, times were tough, and she was just barely making ends meet, so she quietly made the decision to slide the phone into her pocket before the cab driver could notice. Shortly after, she was dropped off at home, where, with a mix of nervousness and excitement, she slid the device's lock screen. To her surprise, it was
the
unlocked.
original iPhone.
Without hesitation, she began to comb through its
Pixel.
contents, leading her first to the phone's camera roll, where she found what looked to be a peaceful video of the ocean.
Why are you beefing with Lazy Masquerade? See, the problem, Prospect, is this isn't Lazy Masquerade.
Eagerly pressing play to see what secrets the clip
I know you.
hold.
No, you're backpedaling. Oh, you want to do offend him? Okay.
Over the course of the next 10 minutes and 26 seconds, she would witness perhaps the most gruesome video she had ever laid eyes on. The images burning into her mind frame by frame, never to be forgotten. The following day, she would upload the same video to YouTube, marking the start of an internet mystery whose trail was as vast as the ocean itself, and whose contents immediately made it one of the most mysterious videos to ever appear on YouTube.
Huh?
Before we dive deeper into this rabbit hole, I want to first thank today's
Purdy PDS. Wait, I was sponsored by them. Honestly, chat, just use Nick Crowley's code. They're not gonna. My views are so shit. They're not gonna redo. They're not gonna renew. They're not gonna renew on me. Just do his code. It's probably better off.
/Nick Crowley to get your free debt assessment today.
I've actually never seen this video.
The video went live on August 17th, 2014 on an unknown channel called Common King Savu. It opens with a shot of the ocean, filmed with what appears to be the grainy camera of an old cell phone. We see ships floating and hear the voices of men yelling in various languages, later to be decoded as Mandarin, Vietnamese, and potentially even Taiwanese. And while translating their words is difficult, their sentiment is easy to understand. Something had grabbed the men's attention. Something in the water.
Loch Ness Monster? Dude, I swear to is this gonna make me hate the ocean even more, dude? Come on. You can't do this to me.
The camera pans around as if it's looking for that something, while showing the vast, deep blue waters surrounding their ship. They were in the middle of nowhere, clearly miles and miles away from any sign of humanity.
Bigfoot?
Suddenly,
It's probably
the motion
Bigfoot.
intensifies as the cameraman makes a dash for the opposite side of the ship. As finally,
why did you immediately jump to the Loch Ness Monster? I don't know. Maybe the Loch Ness Monster went on vacation, right? Maybe he went out to the ocean, did other shit, you know, besides being in that one area.
He sees it.
Bigfoot DLC. Bro, cameraman, holy shit. Hold it together.
How are you?
It was a man, warily treading water. The cameraman yells to him in English, "How are you?" To which the swimmer raises his hands, signifying his desperate need for help. it started to become clear that this
Chat, we were all wrong. It wasn't Bigfoot. It wasn't Bigfoot.
video was going to be of some sort of rescue attempt. Somehow that man had ended up in the water and clearly needed to be saved, and this far out at sea, it seemed to be a miracle that these ships had reached him in time. But within this clip, nothing is what it seems, as rather than a life preserver being tossed to the man or maybe even a rope getting thrown his way, a gunshot rings out. A shot aimed directly at the man in the water.
Oh.
The shot misses just inches above his head, only to be followed by another shot and another, until finally the fourth try connects, the bullet piercing the man's head and turning the sea around him an unnatural shade of red.
What the fuck?
He was dead in an instant. Though the recording kept going, and so did the gunshots.
What did he do?
The camera pans across the waves, now revealing two more men in the water, clinging to what appears to be the wreckage of their boat. A boat that somehow had been destroyed. And before long, one of them was struck too, leaving the other man hanging onto the debris as he silently watches his friend's body float lifelessly past him. He held on for nearly 4 minutes, not saying a word, not fighting back, just holding on, until finally, he too was executed. Understandably, the ordeal proved too much for the cameraman to handle, as at this point he just couldn't control an outburst. But not in any sort of emotional way that one might expect, as instead, he couldn't hold back his laughter. Even as a fourth swimmer was found and also executed, the laughs and the cheers from the people on board just kept on coming.
Hello! Hi.
There was no sign of remorse for the killings, only celebration. And at the end of the video, the crew even posed for photos.
Hey!
Some of them joining arms together while others took selfies, with those listless bodies floating in the background. Over the course of the clip, 63 shots had been fired at 4 men in the ocean,
Why?
none of whom survived the encounter.
But why though?
The video would be kept on YouTube for only 3 days under the title Fishing Vessel Fijian Crew Getting Shots Outside Fiji Waters, providing the first and really the only bit of context for the clip, as when people began to dig deeper to find out what exactly they had just watched, they found something unusual. They found nothing. There was no other information about the event. There was no news articles. There were no police reports. There was quite literally nothing. This video was seemingly the first ever mention of this incident on the internet. Now,
I mean, to be fair, that is like international waters. That's why it's so fucking scary, and that's why like so many crimes happen out there. No one can really do shit. Like, I mean, think about it. If literally no one except the person recording had evidence of anything happening or even talked about it, like, they're not gonna do it. They won't be able to find shit, you know? It's upsetting. Yeah, that's why the ocean's scary, man. Like, if you're out in the ocean, people could just, like, swim up. They'd be on a boat. They wouldn't be... They'd float up and kill you, and then just... That's it. See ya. Never gonna see you again. Oh, what? You found the ship, like, miles away? Oh, you can't find the body? Oh, well, that sucks. Got nothing. Nope.
Now this might make sense if it had happened in the
They boat at you. Yeah, they don't swim at you. They boat at you.
days surrounding the upload. But when digging into the video's metadata, it was revealed that not only was this not true, but that the video had actually been filmed a whole 2 years prior, in 2012, meaning that for 2 full years, whatever this event was, went unseen and unreported.
Yeah, that
Given
makes
its
sense
alleged
for the
Fijian
ocean.
ties, their government would be the first to investigate, in a process that only took about a day, as they immediately determined that the fishermen seen in this footage were not actually Fijian, and nor were the shooters. In fact, the waters didn't even match theirs either. And so, with the video having no
I mean, are
ties
they
to their
pirates?
country, they immediately dropped the case. For any others trying to find more information, things were bleak, as they had no idea where the incident took place, who the victims were, who the shooters were, the identity of the ships, or even the motivation behind the—
But the fact that there's multiple ships is crazy, though. Yeah, no, totally not our water. We could tell. Yeah, what kind of statement is that? Nope, that's not our water. I can't see anything, any direction whatsoever, but that water, doesn't look like ours. Little bit too blue for me, you know what I'm saying?
The killings. They tried to find out who these victims were by searching every single—
They have to be pirates of some sort? That's what I'm saying. Like, they have, like, different varieties of ships, and there's multiple ships. Like, it seems like a planned killing, like a planned murder. Like, they went out here, threw them in there, and all ships just shot at the dudes. You know? Like, it seems very, very planned out.
Single accessible missing persons database from all across the world. They then tried to find cases of missing ships or reports of shootings at sea, only to reach the same results. Despite seeing it with our own eyes, it was as if these killings never even happened. With intrigue building around the clip, a few larger news agencies would pick up the story, most of them admitting that they too couldn't find any noteworthy information on anything involving the case. And with the facts nearly impossible to come by, they instead focused on the more human questions surrounding the ordeal. Why? What had motivated the men on the ship to open fire on these helpless people?
Here's what I think. Let's say they're pirates, right? Or a gang or something. These people that are in the water are used as an example for the pirate group or that gang or whatever. And they're like, hey, this is what happens when you know, do something wrong or don't follow our rules or whatever. So they bring them out there and have like a public execution in a way. That's what it feels like. One Piece? Could be.
And given the media climate at the time, a reason was quickly brought forward.
These are the pirates of Somalia.
Yep, I called it.
Holding the world's shipping industry to ransom.
U.S. officials say they are working with other countries to deal with the lawlessness they say is the root cause of the piracy.
We have to ensure that those who commit acts of piracy are held accountable.
The high seas are often a lawless place, and of all the criminal groups that can be found at sea, by far the most notorious at this time were Somali pirates, with it quickly being assumed that the men seen in the water were just that. Pirates that had planned to overthrow the ship, yet were somehow stopped, leading to their slow-motion execution. This honestly explains a lot, like why the crime was never reported and why the crew seemed to be celebrating their killing, as after all, this would mean that they had just survived a pirate attack from a group that likely would have done much worse to them. Because of these reports, the discourse surrounding the footage quickly went from shock—
Wait, hold up. So you're saying, he's saying that they were celebrating stopping a pirate attack? I would think it's the opposite. Can't believe Pig would pre-watch. We're not starting this shit again. I feel like it would be like the pirates took over the ship, threw them overboard, killed them, and they're celebrating for stealing the ship. Not the opposite.
To, in many instances, support.
Don't give up.
With one user writing, "Kill those fucking pirates. They would not hesitate to kill you if they had the chance. How does it feel, you fucking scums?" And while not everyone held such strong emotions, for most it was settled. This was a case of self-defense, albeit a heartless one. Though as the clip began to slip—
Wait, so that's— hold up.
From the headlines, questions began to arise that for a select few weren't so easy to ignore. For starters, in the footage we see 4 large boats in the area, which would make one wonder why such a small pirate group would choose to attack a ship that had reinforcements literally right next to it. It almost seemed like a suicide mission. And on top of this, through the debris you can clearly see that the boat was wooden, with it later being identified as a dhow, a slow-moving fishing vessel almost exclusively used in Arab countries. Given its speed and fragile wooden structure, this would likely be the last choice for many pirates. So not only did this not make sense from an attack standpoint, but the country of origin of this boat seemingly didn't match either.
They're just playing Sea of Thieves IRL.
And to make this even stranger, the boat clearly had a flag attached to it, and though it couldn't be definitively identified, flying the flag of a country is almost unheard of for Somali pirates. It's safe to say that the pirate theory wasn't as concrete as many had assumed, and this only becomes more evident the further we dig into the video, with one of the most glaring discrepancies being the demeanor of the crew. It's obvious that they weren't fearing for their lives at all during this attack. In fact, their words show just how much they were enjoying it, with some people even shouting for the
Get down, they're coming to kill you, pig. Dude, this is a dude trolling out there. You do a little trolling.
Camera to get a better angle and encouraging the gunmen to keep shooting. And perhaps even more importantly, at no point do we see any weapons or any form of retaliation from the men floating in the water. It didn't look or sound like a fight. It appears more as a straight-up attack. And most chillingly of all,
you can hear this, but I don't think they were pirates. I think they were kidnapping victims. I think these people put them on a boat and boated the boat over until it broke, then shot them.
What? Huh? Alright.
one of the swimmers can faintly be heard yelling, "No Somali,
You just fucked up my headphones. Damn it. Okay, there it goes.
no pirate." Despite these glaring gaps, years would pass following the video's upload, with little in the way of new reported information. However, there were a select few who made it their mission to uncover the truth behind the footage, one sliver at a time. Most notably, a private investigator named Karsten von Hoslin picked up the case and documented his journey on a show called Lawless Oceans. He started his investigation by pinpointing the ships seen in the footage, identifying them as the Chun-Yi 217, the Chun-Yi 628, the Lao Yuan U-99, and finally, the Pingshin 101, the boat that pulled the trigger.
Like, why? Like, these are like giga ships. These aren't like little baby boats, right? Not baby bubble blowing boats, right?
These ships were all tuna longliners operating out of Taiwan, where fishing is one of their economy's biggest industries. But what makes Taiwanese fishing so unique is that their ships operate almost exclusively in international waters, where unlawful activity runs rampant. This includes illegal fishing, long work hours for employees, abuse, and in some cases, even murder. As on the high seas, far away from the watchful eyes of the
I didn't pre-watch this, but I'm just saying.
Law, you can get away with almost anything, which explains.
And there are only 4 guys in the one baby boat. You think that those other big boats couldn't have overtaken it? No. They stick those dudes on a little boat. They release the people on the water, and then the people on the big boats order the little boats to get to see how many they can kill. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like they were like it was like a killing game, right?
Why this crime had gone undetected for so long. And with the Pingshin 101 being the unquestioned killer, that's where the investigation would quickly be focused. The history of this boat reveals a few interesting notes. For starters, it was issued an international yellow card for aggressive behavior years before, though nothing is really known about the incident that led to this decision. But
an international yellow card? What is this, fucking soccer? Oh, you're being a little bit aggressive out there on the ocean. Yellow card? We're gonna give you a yellow card. What? Huh? Boats get yellow cards? The fuck?
But what we do know is that in 2010, the ship had made
broke 104 last night. John, you best be being careful, my man. All right? If you're going 104, you best be being careful, all right? We need to ride sometime, by the way.
An insurance claim, citing that it collided with a smaller vessel, causing
I'm already looking at my next bike. It's unhealthy. It's unhealthy.
Some minor damages. And though the captain claimed that this was an accident, the footage said otherwise.
Wait, what? Huh?
Somehow, this exact same incident just so happened to be captured by a man sailing aboard the Pingshin 101. The footage shows the longliner aggressively pursuing a smaller fish.
I love it so much. Yes, John, it is very addicting and very fun. Actually, you know what I've noticed? It's very good for your mental health. By the way, chat, we're talking about riding motorcycles. I'm just talking to him for a second. Today, I felt stressed as hell. Like, genuinely like stressed and panicked and angry. I literally just took my bike out for like 30 minutes, came back, felt good as new. I don't know how it works, but I always feel so much better after riding. Addict? I mean, it does help. Like, it has been proven to help mental health. I ain't going fast, chat. My bike can only go like 80 tops, all right? Like, I ain't... Calm down, all right? Two-wheel therapy? True.
Fishing boats, while the crew aboard laughs and cheers on, just as they did in the other video.
Yeah. Suzo.
Only this time, they aren't the only aggressors, as we can see 3 other ships joining in as well. The exact same 3 ships shown in that original video. Eventually, the Pink Shin rams the vessel, causing it to break down before the video ends abruptly. It's unknown what happened to the ship from here, however, many have posited that its crew was met with the same fate.
Dude, I'm telling you, they're just playing Sea of Thieves out here. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, holy shit.
The other victims of the Pink Shin 101. Much like the Sea Slaughter video, it's unknown why the ship was even attacked to begin with. This clearly wasn't a Somali boat, and again, at no point did we see any sort of weapon or any sort of combativeness coming from that ship. It seemed to be simply another fishing vessel. But what else is so intriguing about this video is that the fleet of ships were equally as involved, actively working to corral and trap the boat. And given their proximity to the murdered swimmers in the first video, perhaps they were all involved in that slaying too. Almost as if these ships were part of a gang, with the Pink Shin 101 as its...
Okay, it's not pre-watched, chat. I did not pre-watch this. This is all guessing. Okay? I want to clarify that. I said gang earlier, okay? I did say, but I'm just a good guesser, all right? Shut up.
Its leader. With all these discoveries, finding this ship was going to be the key to the investigation, as having documented its aggressive history, finding it became everything for investigators. But whereas the search for information had thus far been difficult, the search for the Pink Shin 101 was impossible. In July of 2014, a cargo ship sailing in the Indian Ocean named the Sam Tiger received an SOS call from a nearby ship. When they arrived on the scene, they saw the Pink Shin 101 on fire and sinking alone in the ocean. Upon the crew's rescue, it was stated that there had been some sort of explosion on board and that the engine room had been completely flooded, causing the ship to go down, leaving it burned to a crisp at the bottom of the ocean, just months before the video would be exposed to the public. The ship and all of the evidence that it might hold were gone, and gone under suspicious circumstances as well.
I was about to ask how many people died. Oh shit.
Allegedly, when asked about what happened that night, fishermen on board gave varying testimonies that didn't seem to line up, with no one being able to offer any sort of cause for the explosion, and some stating that they didn't even hear an explosion as well. With the story of the flooded engine room seeming off too, considering that it had a watertight door that could have easily been closed, thus stopping the sinking. Today, multiple ship experts who have reviewed the case believe that the ship was sunk intentionally, but whether this was for insurance purposes or to conceal some sort of evidence is unknown, but the timing of it all might hint at the latter.
Yeah, because like the video of them, like back here, the video of them like swimming around it and like knocking it and trying to damage it, like it looked like no one was on the ship. So did like everyone get off the ships and get on the other ships and then all proceed to do that? Because it didn't look like anyone was on there. As
crushing as this was for the investigation, there still was hope, as even though the ship was no longer around, the crew certainly was. Their identities were found after a few had posted images of themselves onto Facebook aboard the Pink Shin 101, and after reaching out to many of these crew members, the investigator Karsten van Hoslin found a few who were actually willing to speak with him. And so, individually, they would be asked about the murders at sea, and one by one, they began to recount their experiences. Only, as they began to talk, there was something strange about their story, something that didn't match the video at all. It was the time of day, with each of the men noting that the killings had taken place at nighttime, and that it was completely dark out when the shootings occurred. This made no sense to the investigator until he realized something. The story that they were sharing was not the one portrayed in this video.
It's a different one. Because it happens very often. Like I said, dude, international waters, this shit happens all the time.
And instead, it was an entirely different killing. and one that was far, far more gruesome.
Oh, goody. Great.
It happened that very same year, in
Next
2012, not even a week before the events seen in the video. With this incident, no cameras were rolling. Instead, the story only lives through the accounts of the deckhands who watched it all transpire. In was the dead of night, as the Ping Shin 101 floated across the waters of the Indian Ocean, accompanied by 3 other ships in its group. As the sailors finally settled in for a precious few hours of sleep, the quiet of the night was shattered by the captain yelling across the intercom. There was a ship approaching on the horizon, and according to the captain, that ship was carrying pirates. The men knew what this meant as they scrambled to get—
Dude, is anyone else like really disappointed that like when you find out that pirates are real, they aren't the ones with the peg legs and the hooked hands? They go, arr! Why can't we bring that shit back? Like, for real, wouldn't that be so cool? Like, sure, you would die and like your ship would get taken. But like, if that happened and like a Johnny Depp looking ass character came out and said, I'm going to steal your ship, arr! You know, that'd be great. He goes, where's the rum? Like, dude, that'd be awesome. I'm like, hey, yeah, take my ship, dude. That's awesome. That'd be great. Where's the rum? So good, dude.
get dressed and headed to the deck, where the group of 4
boats. So they're not like Captain Hook? Have at thee! Dude, come on. That'd be great.
Already begun their offensive measures.
Yeah, what happened to walking
Yet,
the plank?
as they watched on, they saw that the ship was silent. It wasn't provoking in any way, and rather was minding its own business, appearing to be on none other than a standard fishing expedition. On its dimly lit deck, a group of men could be seen standing watch, and none of them were armed. Then, noticing that they were in danger, the ship attempted to turn and flee, but it was too late. They had already been labeled a threat by merely being in this fleet's eyeline. Quickly, the Ping Shin 101 caught up with the vessel and struck its side, causing the boat to split in half and throwing its occupants into the dark waters. The light on board flickered, then shut off, covering the wreckage in a blanket of black, leaving nothing but the sound of—
Isn't that kind of goofy that, like, they couldn't outmaneuver a gigantic ship? Like, they're like I know they're like a little fishing vessel, but it's a small ship. Like, if we're talking about Sea of Thieves rules right now, they would easily be able to outmaneuver the big ship, right? Easily. Like, what the fuck? Bigger ships mean bigger engines mean faster. No, that's not what it means at all. Also, big ships, very hard turn. Little ship, very easy to turn. It doesn't matter if they're faster, chat. Just turn. You know? Just turn. Yeah, maybe this had a shitty engine or something. They've clearly, yeah, exactly. They've never played Sea of Thieves, and it's obvious.
Of splashing, yelling, and the faint putter of their engines. That is,
how do you know?
Until the water turns bright, as a powerful spotlight on board the Ping Shin beams into the sea, illuminating one swimmer struggling in the water. The captain calls over his armed security guard and gives the order to open fire. The guard looks back nervously, explaining that he would need to contact his officers at home and get approval to shoot this man, given that the swimmer was not fighting back and had not acted aggressively in the first place. However, to the captain, this didn't matter, and he insisted that the guard open fire anyway. And so, with shaky hands, he raised his weapon and pointed it towards the helpless man, only to pause when he heard a faint cry. It was the supposed pirate in his sights, speaking a language that the Arab security guard knew, and just like the incident that started it all, the swimmer yells, "No, Somali." In that moment, the realization set in that they had just attacked an innocent fishing vessel, causing the guard to immediately lower his weapon, only for it to be ripped from his hands by the captain. His mind was already made up, and so he took aim and fired the gun.
What kind of logic is that? Like the dude's about to shoot him and he says, no Somali. He's like, oh, okay, that's cool. I already decided. Okay, we're going to shoot him. Sir, he literally just said he's innocent and that's Somali. I don't care. I want to kill someone today. I made my mind up already. Fucking psychopath, man. What the hell?
Himself, opening up the door to carnage. That night, the Ping Shin 101 and its surrounding boats would use their spotlights to scan the water for the rest of the ship's occupants. And every time they found one, they would be shot on sight. Scan, shoot, scan, shoot.
It's only a game.
Over
Why you have
and
to be
over
mad?
again. This went on all night. And by the morning, the crew would witness the drawn-out execution of approximately 22 men.
God, 20, what the fuck? Bro, I thought it was like a 5-man little ship. 22? Yeah, I'm never going out to the ocean, bro. Fuck that.
The stories from these crew members added a whole new layer to this case. These ships were targeting innocent fishing boats and slaughtering people at sea for essentially no reason at all, and somehow all of this information had never once reached the public and only came to light as a result of a single
probably is
YouTube
still
video.
happening.
And the discoveries didn't stop there. As investigators were combing through the net for details on the Ping Shin, they found another video.
God
A video
damn,
depicting the very same slaughter as that original incident. Only this recording was taken from one of the nearby ships.
Is this guy a better camera guy?
The clip shows exactly what was missing from that initial footage. The build-up to the men ending up in the water, as we can see the dhow still intact and being chased down by the fleet. No weapons are ever used by the victims even as their ship begins to break down, which in turn forces them to jump into the water, where the executions begin. But that's not the only thing this footage shows, as this angle gives us a better idea of the scope of these murders. It wasn't just 4 men that went into the water. No, in the footage you can see many, many more, their heads bobbing up and down as they await the end of their lives. And though it's hard to tell for sure, it appears that the number of victims was at least triple what we initially believed, with 12 people ending up in the water. A number corroborated by the crew themselves during questioning, who stated that all the shootings were done by either their captain, the armed guards, or even the other ships. In only a week's time, this fleet had killed upwards of 35 innocent people with their merciless attacks. And given the ship's history of violence and its seemingly crazed captain, there's no telling how many others they had taken too. With so many players involved in this situation, it's hard to pin the blame on any one person for these killings. Everybody aboard all had a hand in it, but it makes the most sense to start at the top, with the leader of the fleet and the captain of the Ping Shin 101. And given the accounts of the crew members, his identity would finally be revealed.
Oh?
His name is Captain Wang Feng Yu, or as he was more commonly called on the high seas, Captain Hoodlum.
Oh, that's a good name.
According to his crew, this captain was an angry man, crazy even, who made his points by hitting and beating, choosing violence above anything else, which was perhaps done.
I think it's a good person to keep as a captain. Yeah, I think it's a solid person to keep as a captain.
To make up for his inexperience as a captain, given that he was only 35 years old, which was considered very young for that role. The revelation of his identity led to him being tracked down and questioned for.
Did bro dye a part of his mustache, or did he just forget to shave? What is that? Or did he just draw on it with marker? Is he one of those guys that can't grow a mustache, so he like drew it on his face? Like what is this?
Crimes, to which he gave a reason for each and every attack, proclaiming that these ships were pirates and that they were threatening him, even stating that one of the men had tried to board their ship on the day of that infamous slaughter. But upon further
probably so they wouldn't die in the ocean.
Questioning, his defense fell apart. His actions were—
Why was there no coup? Right? Why was there no mutiny? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if everyone's like, hey guys, I'm starting to feel like this captain's a little bit psychotic because he wants to kill everyone. So maybe let's like throw him overboard, right? Do a little bit of a mutiny. Yeah. I don't know, man. I wouldn't want to piss this guy off either. Bro, If you had a gun and he didn't and everyone else agreed with you, the captain couldn't do shit. What could he do? Captain Scary? Oh no, he gets angry sometimes. Who cares? If your entire crew with guns is like, hey guys, I don't like him. Let's take him out of here. But then Captain go, I'm angry, and then punch the boat, and everyone's, oh, I'm so sorry. What do you think? This is One Piece? You think it's fucking One Piece? You think the captain has superpowers or some shit? Right? Shut up.
Were impossible to defend, and whether he even knew it or not, he was responsible for the deaths of countless innocent men, including many by his own hand. As a result, Wang Fengyu was put on trial for his crimes committed in international waters, which is considered extremely rare for cases like this, with the Taiwanese government charging him for the 4 murders shown in the video, as these were the only ones that they could verify, due to the other story having literally no record of having even happened. He was sentenced to 26 years in prison, which...
That's it? Yeah, really do be an international moment. Isn't that scary though, chat? Like, imagine all the shit that isn't recorded. Imagine all the shit that isn't talked about. Bro murders probably like 30 plus people. It's like, it literally less than a year per person. I mean, I know they only documented 4, but like, hell, dude.
After an appeal would be reduced to just 13.
What?
Of all the other ships
13! Wow.
and men involved, no others would be charged along with him, making this the only form of justice to come from the deaths of all these men,
wow,
supposedly mistaken for pirates.
That's bonkers.
But as the case now winds down to a close, and we near the end of this rabbit hole, we're still left to wonder about those victims. If not pirates, then who were they? Well, this was actually something explored on the Lawless Ocean show, with the investigation taking them all the way to a little-known port in Iran called Kanarak. There, Van Hosen managed to track down records of 2 ships that had been lost to sea in 2012, that had just so happened to match the description of the ones that the Pink Shin and their group had attacked. But despite their disappearances, they were never mentioned to law enforcement, and they were never mentioned across any sort of media outlets, even the local ones. Which actually makes sense, as when you start to dig into the background of these boats, it becomes clear that they weren't just fishing, and rather they were more than likely carrying drugs. As it turns out, it was commonplace for vessels like this in that area to carry with them supplies of heroin that they would then transport across the ocean. And what makes this so crazy is that when you watch the first video back, you can see little packages floating in the water that appear almost exactly like large bags of heroin.
Do you guys think that the people were celebrating because they got free drugs? That makes more sense. Now it makes more sense why they killed them. Free drugs.
As a result, these ships were likely trying to be extra covert and not draw any sort of attention, as getting in an altercation could easily end up with their dark secret being exposed, meaning that there was likely no way that they were threatening the Pink Shin or any of the vessels seen in this group. It just wouldn't make any sense. However, within this context, it's hard to describe these people as being completely innocent, but did this really warrant such a brutal execution? And it's important to note too that the murderous fleet...
That's the thing, they probably knew. 100%. That makes more sense now. Because people would kill for drugs easily, dude. Like, people kill for drugs all the time. How we doing tonight? Great. Thank you so much to do much, Starnack.
Almost certainly didn't expect them to be drug carriers. And given that the Pink Shin and its fleet had no ties to the drug world, it's apparent that these drugs had nothing to do with the killings. It was just a strange coincidence, leaving us still without a true motive. Following this lead, Van Hosen visited...
Doesn't make the killing any more just? No. Dude, that's like the equivalent of, like, killing someone wrongfully, right? Like, say you murdered someone wrongfully. Later down the line, you find out, oh, he was a pedophile, and, he did drugs, and, he did other crimes and stuff like that. Does that mean that brutally murdering someone is just fine now? Because that said person turned out to be a bad person, even though you didn't know that he was a bad person at the time? You know what I mean? Well, Big Waluigi, thank you so much for the 9 months. Like, that's happened in real life before, dude. Rittenhouse, basically, we're not going to get into that. We are not going to get into that. But it's that same type of context. It's like, just because someone happened to be bad, like, doesn't mean that you are okay to murder them. Because at the time of you murdering them, you had no fucking clue. You had no idea.
At a nearby village where many of the fallen crew members' families were living, and there they discovered innumerable people missing their fathers, husbands, children, all of whom had gone to sea never to return, while in truth, these families had no idea just how savagely their loved ones had been killed. Though this discovery makes the case a bit more morally murky, it at least provides an answer to one of the most glaring questions of who these victims were. As though they were never named specifically, it's clear now at least where they came from.
There's a difference between, oh, I killed him because he's a pedo, and, oh, he was a bad person, so my crime isn't a crime. Exactly. I mean, killing a pedo for being a pedo, unfortunately, still is, like that one dude, what was that one where, like, the dude in prison found out that his cellmate was, like, a pedo, and he, like, told him about it, and he's like, yeah, I killed him. Yeah, he kept telling me about all this shit that he did to kids, so I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna kill this guy. Like, whatever. I'm in here forever anyway, so it's like, whatever. I'll kill him. Like, that was cool. That was deserved.
The rabbit hole this video carries with it is almost unimaginable. Imagine if we had just accepted the theory that this was an isolated pirate attack. We would never have known the true story behind this fleet, and the true number of their victims. And justice would have never been served, even if said justice wasn't as satisfying as many had hoped. But of all the twists and turns of this case, there was somehow one more that remained. As oddly enough, the entire story of this video making its way onto YouTube didn't exactly happen as it was first described. We started this case with the story of the video's uploader discovering the clip on a cell phone found in a taxicab in Fiji, but she would actually later go on to retract this claim once investigators questioned her further. Instead, she had stated that she had been sent the footage by someone else and felt compelled to share it with the world, to warn others of what was really happening out there on the high seas. She even claimed that she knew it would be potentially dangerous posting this video, not only for her, but for the anonymous person she sent it to. And so, she made up this story to essentially absolve them from any involvement. This means that the—
Honestly, that's smart. Like, if I got footage like that, I would not release who did it for fear of getting murdered by, like, the people that they know or something, you know? I'd just be like, hey, this happened. I ain't gonna say shit. I don't want to die.
The clip wasn't found on the cell phone of whoever had recorded it, and instead, it had been circulating. What makes this even more fascinating is that this allowed investigators to track down where the video actually came from, or at least how it had gotten to the island of Fiji, and how it had gotten to this phone in particular. And when doing so—
Go to the police much? I mean, the thing is, like, say like someone that you know who is like a criminal, who's like kills people, who's a part of a gang, sends you a video like, hey bro, look what I just did, right? Like, you're not gonna go to the cops with that, right? I mean, I guess, I don't know. Would posting it on their internet be worse? Would it be more dangerous than going to the cops? I mean, either way, you'd probably get in trouble. You'd probably, like, I don't know. Police aren't going to protect you. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like, you could give it to the cops, but they're not going to, like, be your bodyguards, right? You're not going to have, like, witness protection shit. You know? Like, they're just going to be like, okay, cool, whatever. And then you're just going to be, like, on your own. You have to deal with that.
So, all roads led them to a man who had been an avid collector and possibly distributor of so-called snuff films. And within his devices, these investigators found hundreds of other disturbing videos of brutal killings, making it almost certain that this video was originally sold as a snuff film, and even bringing up the question of whether or not these killings had been done for that sole purpose. This actually lines up quite well with how the men were acting in the video, gloating for the camera and directing the cameraman on where to go.
Do people pay for snuff films? Oh. I thought they were just, like, uploaded to the dark web and, like, people could just watch them. I didn't know people, like, actually paid for it. Wow.
Yelling at him to film it all. And given that we don't really have a solid motive for this event, perhaps it was done for this video specifically.
Well, they don't do it for free, LOL? What do you mean? I just assumed it was like a YouTube, but for snuff films. You know what I mean? Like, the dark web would have a website that is just like, hey, you guys want to see who died this week? What's the most popular death of the week? You know?
as after all, these workers at sea are notoriously underpaid, and so a video like this would be worth much more than any—
Ever heard of Live Leak? Yes, dude. Okay, I'm done.
One on board was used to making. This is, however, impossible to prove.
Top 10 deaths, number 8 will shock you.
And though it may have played a role in what was happening that day, it seems more conclusive to say that this was a case of a crazed captain who likely just had a crippling fear of pirates, with his paranoia leading to him being overprotective of his ship and the fleet around him. With this behavior leading to the incidents that, had it not been for a single YouTube video, would have basically never happened, existing instead only as fisherman's tale. And I have to wonder if this could be the case for even more incidents out there at sea, not only for the Pingshin 101 and its fleet, but across the entire high seas. How many more killings have gone unnoticed? Killings that we'll likely never know about, until the next gruesome video finds its way to our screens.
A lot. Oh yeah.
I want to give a massive thank you to a few people. Firstly, Nexpo for jumping on this video.
That was interesting. That just made me sad.
Now it's time to walk away. I hope you enjoyed your stay. Did you laugh or cry or maybe subscribed? I'll thank you either way. You know I will miss you. I hope you return. Tell your friend or your mother to get me more views, please.